couch here. There she is, boys and girls. There she is. There she is. Whew. It is windy today, so that thing just slammed on me. Holy moly. All right, let's start getting into this little video here. I guess not so little, but here's my MK7 GTI. And what we're doing is we are taking apart things in the motor right now so that we can prepare it to take the motor out. So let's go ahead and check that right now. Open the hood up here. As you can see, a lot of the stuff here is on top. So let's go through what I have disconnected and on the motor itself here in the engine bay, and what I still have to disconnect as far as taking everything off to get the motor out. So let's start here. I might actually forget a couple things. So if I did, you can put them in the comments if you've taken the motor out or if you know how to take the motor out. This is my first time taking the motor out here. So yeah, I just followed Shop Dap's video that they posted here on YouTube and kind of went from there. So just been doing things here and there. So let's get right to this. So first off, I'm going to start from the back here. I'm just going to start with the things that I've taken off already, and then later on in a little bit I'll talk about the things that I still have to take off. So let's start with the back here. First, I disconnected the downpipe here, and I have only disconnected this part here. I've actually checked my IS-38 turbo, and there's no shaft play on the exhaust side, which is good. I haven't checked the intake side yet, but I just disconnected the downpipe here. I haven't disconnected anything underneath because I don't think I'm going to need to, because there's going to be plenty of space for it to get out. So disconnect the downpipe, number one. Number two, disconnect the battery. And you want to do this before you remove any electrical. So you disconnect the battery here. And what I did is I removed the battery, which is over here, as you can see. And I'm going to need to get a new battery because that one's dead. But you remove the battery, and then I removed the battery tray so that you have access to the ECU as well as the transmission mount here. And yeah, so I removed the battery tray, and I have a lot of other different wires and stuff like that, and hoses that you may not have on yours, because I have a pretty large sound system in here, and then I have boost wires and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, then the battery and the battery tray, and then I disconnected obviously the intake here and here, and from there I disconnected the ECU here. And what's great about the ECU on the 2017s, at least, this one was made in Mexico. So I don't know where yours is made, but mine was made in Mexico, and I didn't need to drill out any rivets or anything like that on the top. Some of the other ones, apparently, I think like the 2015s and 2016s, you need to draw out rivets that are on top, which is kind of annoying, but you can do it with a Dremel and then just take a flathead and take them off. But it's a little more labor intensive, which kind of stinks. This one was literally just there, sitting there, and it's just sitting in a little bracket. So after removing the battery tray, there's a little plastic piece right here that kind of holds the ECU into place, like on the bottom. You just remove that. There's a few clips, and then from there, I'll talk about this in a little bit. There, I removed the top part of the ECU, and you'll just let that hang. And that is sitting right here. So once you remove that top, then there's these connectors right here, which this connector goes to this connector down here, which is kind of a pain because, you know, almost 180,000 miles. There's a lot of dust, a lot of dirt, a lot of grime, and it was kind of tight. But with a little bit of back and forth with some picks, I got it loose without breaking any clips, which is great. So you're going to remove that and the ECU part, and then that way you'll just have these little clips right here that clip into the bottom down here. And you remove that and set that to the side. More stuff in this area. You're going to need to take off this wire, which connects to this part right here, which is the fuse box in the engine bay. So you're going to need to remove this one and this one. And there's this slides right here, and there's a little clip on the side, and you just unclip it and it slides out like that. And this one are the ones you're going to have to remove, because this one is a red one right here, which is this one right here. And that's a power wire that goes to, I think, it connects to your battery line right here. So in order to connect, to bring your positive cable that goes to your battery here, you're going to disconnect that. And then this one right here that connects over here. And then these two wires go to your starter, but because I don't think I'm going to remove my starter when I pull out the motor, so I'm just going to leave it there. Hopefully it comes out. Pretty sure it will. And then you just set those to the side. You're going to have some little clips down in here, stuff. I've, marked these. This one is to the starter, so this connector goes to the starter here. And then this one I marked trans. This plug, which goes to the transmission backup camera or backup right there. So you're not going to have, backup lights or anything like that if you don't have that plugged in. So you're going to remove those two right there, and you're going to just, kind of leave those to the side right there. As you can see, you just leave them to the side because those are not going to come out with the engine. So just mark them. And then I have all these hoses and stuff. For my car, all of these hoses connected to my boost tap, which is right here, my Precision Raceworks boost tap. And so I wanted to, I'm going to have to, if you have anything like that, you're going to have to disconnect that from the boost tap, or else it's going to yank all those hoses out. So go ahead and remove those hoses and follow them wherever they may be. Mine kind of just go back here and stuff, but it's all going to be back there. When the engine comes out, it's not going to come out with the engine. So let me see what else I have here. So I have this one right here, which goes to this one right here, goes to this one right here on your fuse box. And the reason why that one comes out is because that wire goes all the way, I believe, to your it goes somewhere underneath. I think it might be the alternator. It might be the ground wire to the alternator. So if this is still in there, it's going to yank when you pull the motor out. So you're going to have to remove that one as well right there. Really easy. Just, some sockets, take them out, and it's super easy. Just make sure you take a picture of it so that you know where each one goes. And then from there, I have all these wires, and that's my fuse to my sound system and stuff like that. From there, pretty much this whole area is done. You don't need to remove anything else from over here. As far as anything over here is concerned, I believe that's pretty much everything that I have actually taken off, as far as getting the engine prepped to remove. There are some things that I need to still remove in order to pull the motor out, which I will talk about right now. All right, so first thing I'm going to talk about is I'm going to have to remove this. Oh, sorry, that just reminded me. I have also drained all of the oil and all of the coolant out of the car. So yes, you got to make sure that you're going to have to remove all the oil out of the engine and all of the coolant. So make sure you do that before you do the removing the motor. So this is an important part right here. Your coolant bottle, I'm going to have to disconnect here. Just take it off and kind of hang it onto the top of the motor here. And with this hose right here, which is a coolant hose, I believe. And this hose no, sorry, this hose right here is a fuel hose that goes to the fuel pump. And then this hose right here goes to your PCV valve right here. So with this hose, after you remove the coolant bottle, I'm gonna have to disconnect this hose, and I'm gonna disconnect it from the high pressure fuel pump right here and just set this on the side, on the top. I'm not gonna disconnect it from this point because those are not like connectors like this one. So these are one-time use connectors. I don't really want to deal with that. So with this one and with this one, I'm gonna disconnect this one from right here and just set that to the side right here so that those hoses are not connected to the motor when you pull it out. So yeah, coolant hoses. Then I'm gonna have to remove this big coolant hose on the top right here. If you can see that, yeah, this one right here. And just remove that along with this up here. Disconnect that from that. All of this is gonna come off when I remove the motor because I'm taking it from the front. But this coolant hose, I'm gonna disconnect from this connector here. It's a quick connect right here. And I'll just set that inside. As far as anything else with hoses, I believe that is it. Going to the back here, I'm gonna have to disconnect both of my O2 sensors. One of my O2 sensors obviously goes to the turbo, and then my other O2 sensor, which would be a normal O2 sensor if you have the original catalytic converter, or if you have a high flow cat. Mine is catless, so it doesn't have a catalytic converter, but it does have an AFR gauge, which uses the original spot where the O2 sensor goes. So yeah, I have to disconnect both of those O2 sensors, which are super easy, super simple. Anything over here, I'm gonna have to disconnect my shifter cables, and I'm gonna disconnect the cable here and this cable here. Those two shifter cables I'm gonna have to disconnect. And then I'm gonna have to, no, I don't really know if I have to, but I might disconnect this charge pipe, this throttle pipe right here. But I don't think you have to, but I think I'm gonna do it. But do that. And then as far as everything else on the top, that is pretty much it, besides the transmission mount and the engine mount. Those are the two last things that you're going to have to disconnect before you actually pull the motor out, because those are the two items keeping the motor in place, and the transmission as well. So that's going to be it on the top. As far as the wheels are concerned, I'm going to have to remove the wheels and the axles from the inside, and I might just remove them from the outside too, because I just don't want that axle in there creating limited space while I'm trying to move the motor out and all that stuff. So yes, remove the axles there. And then basically the last thing is removing the whole front end. So the bumper, the front mount intercooler that I have, the aftermarket one right here that you see, and then the condenser and the stock intercooler, and the whole assembly that holds all that stuff in. So I also might have to take off my headlights to do that. So, but all of that is going to be literally, pretty much after all that other stuff besides the transmission and the motor mount. This is going to be, the second to last thing before the motor actually comes out. So I'm going to remove this, and then the transmission and the motor mount, and then try to get it out. So that is pretty much it. So those are the things that I've done on the car so far. And in my next videos, I'm going to be actually showing you the process of, taking the motor out and stuff. So this is just a part one to this series of taking the motor out and putting the new motor in and getting the car back up and running. So I don't know how many parts this series is going to be, but it's going to be a long series. So stay tuned for the other videos, because this is going to be a fun one. All right, we got the front end off here. Just sunken that off. It's actually not too bad with the help of everybody. And we got the engine right here, but we're thinking when we actually got into the boost pipes that go to the front mounted intercooler, look at this. We got some either coolant or it's coolant in both sides, which is kind of crazy to us. So what was originally on this, as you can see, this part right here, this is a water meth injection little part, and this was all connected to the windshield washer tank and everything. What we're thinking is that the water, when the car was sitting and I was doing the fuel injectors, we don't know this for sure. When I was doing the fuel injectors, the water meth injection was actually leaking into the boost pipe that goes into the throttle body right here. And that's why we have all of that like coolant or whatever. And then after I put everything back together, after I did the fuel injectors and the carbon cleaning and all that stuff, when I started it, it was cranking over. As we all know, I forgot to put the oil filter back on, but that shouldn't even matter. When I was starting it, our guess right now is that there was a bunch of water meth injection flooded in here. And when I was cranking the motor, it all got up into the engine and it basically hydrolocked the engine. And we don't know the cause of it being seized or whatever, because as you've seen on other videos, I can't crank it over even with my long bar. Like there's no, the crank does not move at all. But there could be a bent valve or something. The only way we can figure that out is by taking the head off and checking things. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Woo! Alrighty. So hold on. Let's get this out of the way. Anything back there?
No, it's a loose hose.
Wow, that just came right out, didn't it? There she is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah! I like it.
Damn. What was that? 4 hours or so?
Shane?
I don't know. When did you guys start? I don't know.
She's out.
Dude, you could almost fucking take it out and put it in a whole day. Oh yeah, okay.
What's up, guys? It's a few days later. I'm gonna end the video here. This is just gonna be a part 1, a part 3 series. The next video is just gonna be me showcasing. It's probably gonna be a lot smaller video. It's just gonna be me showcasing, putting some parts onto the new motor and preparing the new motor for it to go in. So that's gonna be the second video. And then the third video is going to be the new motor going into the car and getting it up and started and running, hopefully. And then that will end the 3-part series to this long drawn out, get the GTI back up and running video series. So there's still a few things that I need to do regarding like, especially like hose clamps, because we broke some of them, because I mean, the car is old. It's 8 years old now, going on 9 years. It's gone through very snowy and cold winters, as well as very hot summers. So it's gone through a multitude of weather conditions, and I've driven it a lot. I mean, it had almost 180,000 miles on the odometer. So things are gonna break. So I need to go get some stuff, and then I just need to make sure that I have everything plumbed up right. But those are gonna be the fun little things, the little tiny things that I need to get going, and then get the motor running, hopefully. So that's gonna be it. I'm also gonna be making a separate video of me installing the new WaveTrack LSD into my transmission. So that's gonna be a fun upgrade, but that's gonna be a separate thing outside of this 3-part. So yeah, stay tuned with the next video that's gonna be coming, and that's probably gonna be coming here shortly in the next week or so. All right, guys, stay tuned, and thanks for watching and for supporting this channel. And until the next video, peace.